Dobro veče, želim svima. Danas smo se okupili. Here we are today to present one nice book which I had only 12 hours to read. Because I met this gentleman yesterday, that's Mr. Iliyan Kuzmanov from Bulgaria, who lived in London. He came with his lovely wife to Belgrade to promote this book, If You Meet Buddha, Kill Him, A Pilgrimage to Freedom. So yesterday they came to our bookshop and we were engaged in conversation, and I found out that he's a writer and also the guy who's traveling around the world, and he came up with this nice book, and I was reading and it's really excellent. I don't know how to classify this, something in between travelogue and personal search for internal freedom. So I will let Iliyan talking about that because he wrote it after all. So welcome, Iliyan.
Thank you.
So what can you say? Well, what possessed you to write this nice book?
It's a difficult question. Maybe the second part of the book was my first writing. I was in one really nice place in Thailand. It was very distant, and the only thing that I had, I didn't get like notebook. I just had something, pen and paper, and I have time, and I was enjoying the time that I was there, and I started writing some things. First of all, I tried to paint, but my paintings were terrible, and I wanted to paint the things that I feel, and for that I started writing. I felt more confident in writing, and it was nice. And it's in one moment I discovered that I wrote something like tale, or I don't know what, and from this moment I started writing. I feel more confident about my writing. I started writing, and the first part of the book I wrote it recently, and it was like something like cup all my experiences until this moment, and to put it in more systematic way, I don't know. But it's like, for me the writing is like the paintings are inside the book. I use a friend of mine, she's a Zen Buddhist painter, and in the Zen Buddhist painting you do something, and after that you discover what you did and start putting some small pieces inside the painting. For me the writing is the same experience. It's like I start writing something and I don't know what I'm gonna write, and even in this book, like, I don't know most of the things that I'm to be honest. But it's my first book. I have another one, the other ones.
So let's talk a little bit about the structure of this book. The first half is mostly about, I would say, philosophy of your enlightenment, how you actually conducted a business in London, and then you realized that just gaining material goods is not enough for you. And the second part of the book is what you call fantasy, right?
Yeah.
It reminds me of the ghost stories from Japan and Korea and China. It's a very nice atmosphere in them. You have animals talking to you. You have a nature vibrating, and obviously it's in the tradition of great Zen stories, and I enjoy reading it. But let's concentrate now on the first part. Like, can you tell us a little bit about your professional life and what happened? You know, how come you recognize this dimension, which most of the business people doesn't?
My personal and professional life, it was traveling. To be honest, like at very young age, I went to Canada. I was 23, I think. I worked there, I studied there, I studied history. I was interested in history of religions. After that, like, I just went for 3 months in London. By accident I started a business. I didn't know that I'm starting a business. I never wanted to do business. in general, and it was working. It was, but I didn't feel happy, like, to be honest, with my first business. And for that, maybe my second business was the expression of myself, more expression of myself. I was in a moment that I needed to open an office, but instead of an office, I opened a coffee shop. I just wanted to my office to pay the rent, and it was like this was the business thinking: to pay the rent, to put all my stuff. I had books, probably like around 1,000 books. I put it inside the coffee shop. In one moment, they were like around 3,000. From the start, I started working with homeless people. I was selling inside homeless art. All the products were social, and it was like, for me, it was just fun. My second business, if I speak about the business, but it's still like it was mostly about the money and mostly about achieving some things. And in one moment, I started traveling more, and it's like I went to Thailand. It was my first place in Asia. After that, I traveled a lot there. But I booked a hotel, nice hotel, and I stayed there maybe 1 or 2 days. I was supposed to stay there for 3 weeks, and I started traveling and started experiencing different things. Even maybe the place was different from the places that I had been before, and I started liking the experience, and I started thinking more. And this was my first try. Maybe the first part of the book is just I was trying to give explanation to myself what was for me to write, and what was for me like even the word freedom and personal freedom and these things.
Most of the writers are actually using their writing to explain themselves, and I guess you did a good job. But let me make something clear. When you started traveling, then you felt something is happening. You know, you're like apprehending a life, and around you a little bit different.
Yeah, to be honest, with my traveling, I felt in love. It's like a very banal story. I felt in love, even like I knew that the story will not end like a happy ending. But anyways, it's like for me it was like different kind of experience. It wasn't just traveling to go to see something or to go in a specific place. For me it was different kind of experience. All the traveling, there was like a different purpose in my traveling, and even like when I was in Dharamsala, I was like to the personal doctor of Dalai Lama, and it wasn't for me, it was for another person. And it was like different kind of traveling. Like all the places that I visited, there was something other. And for that, maybe it made my way different. It shaped me a lot.
So I don't want to compare, but old-fashioned Buddhists were actually supposed to, those who are illuminated, they're supposed to give up on all their family, their friends, their assets, and then just live as a travelers, as dervishes, you know, like wandering around, and not having attachment to dear people and material things anymore. Did you feel like that?
Yes, during my traveling, I lost my second business. I lost the person that I felt love. I knew that I'm gonna lose it. I lost, yes, I lost. I hope that I lost all my attachments during my traveling.
Yeah. Please. So.
But you know, Gigi, for me, it's like even about that. I'm not sure that I touched a lot in my book, but for me, it's like even when I'm speaking about the ego and about losing the attachment, for me, it's like not losing, like, because there are two types of ego. That there is like the social ego and there is the real ego. It's like maybe it's the losing the attachment is to discover the real ego. to discover the real things that are giving you pleasure and the real things that is like giving you joy in life. Because usually we behave according to the first ego. That is, the first ego is made by you, by the others. Like, are you liking me, or is like how I'm looking from the camera? Am I fat, or whatever? It's like these are the things that most of the people care. Like even like about the book. Okay, the book's gonna be successful, or it's not gonna be successful. What I'm gonna do with the book, or what I'm gonna do the business. It's like these are the social things that are shaping the ego. The other things, like maybe for that, it's like I'm liking the Buddhism, and it's like my first book is about Buddhism, because it's like Buddhism is, I think, the only philosophy that is just don't give a fuck about the things.
Interesting. So do you still keep your business in
Yes, my main business I still keep it. It's even in Bulgaria I try to do some other things. I try to do my second business. I was going to make a social enterprise in Bulgaria, but it's interesting story at the end, because like this I discover more writing. I push myself in the journalism. I start writing like in any direction. Like I was making like political analysis. I was making international analysis. I was writing like satire. I was writing travel logs. I was writing different type of materials, and this helps me about my writing, about my social business, about my social experience in Bulgaria. This also helped me a lot, because it's helped me understand the people, different like how the different systems are working, how now I'm writing a lot about what is the problem with the social business, because we have like, for example, there are two main dogmas. It's one is yes, the government is supposed to pay for everything, and the other one is yes, we can do charity, and both of them are wrong, because it's like even with the charity we are just hiding the problems. We are not solving the problems. We creating the impression that the problem is solved, but it's not solved at the end. And with the government, it's also, in my experience, like 2 years I almost spent in Bulgaria. It's pointless.
Does your Buddhist experience, let's call it Buddhist experience, help you more, helping you to focus more on the charity issues in Bulgaria, or wherever
you know what's helped me a lot? I don't care. I don't care if I fail. I don't care what the other people think about me, or thinking about my ventures and all these things. I just want to do what I want to do, and I know that it's like in the gambling, it's like okay, if I lose, I lose. If I win, I win, and it's
But you're active in a charity.
Yes, yes, not exactly in the charity. I'm acting in the social business. The social business is something in between. It's combining the two sides. It's combining business and the social work. And it's like, first of all, you have to make the money, and after that you have to spend them. You have to be responsible about the things that you are doing. And it's interesting, but it's giving me more freedom. It's giving me more. I'm more determined, and it's like even in the book, one of the chapter is about the fear, because it's like we fear a lot about different things. It's and during traveling and during the, how you said, enlightenment or whatever, it's helping you to lose your fear. You lose your fear, and there is a moment that you start fearing.
Yeah, well, I experienced something similar, little bit. Then I recognize in your writing some of my own, but these paintings here are gorgeous. So that's your friend from Thailand, right?
Yeah. First I was thinking about the book something completely different. I had a painter. I didn't like the painting, and I just called this lady in Thailand. I said, look, I need paintings. and she sent me like 40 paintings.
Wow.
We made like the photos and we used as illustration.
Very nice.
But it's also like because if you don't care, like if you don't care so much, you change the plans. You don't have like we have chat outside about the plans and planning. And if you are a bit more fearless, you know, like we can change the plans. Now we can change the plans tomorrow morning. Like even like coming to Belgrade, I was thinking to go to Greece and after that to go to Albania, but in one moment, okay, in the morning we decided that we have to go to Belgrade because anyways I didn't want to come back to Bulgaria. I said I want to travel. And
So do you feel the Balkan people need more these, if I can call them, windows of the fresh air inside with the different traditions and a little bit more of Buddhism and alternative things to what we have here? Like
yes, I think it's very useful. You know, Gigi, today I told you like we did some sort of training in the hotel that I was staying. The hotel is really nice, and we spoke with all the stuff about the book and about the things that are inside the book. And it was a different kind of training, and I was chatting after that with the people, and I was saying, okay, we are traveling now. We have to be, we have to build the cultural bridges, anyways, because the people are from different cultures are coming here, are coming in Bulgaria, whatever. We also go in different places, and it's like this cultural awareness opens up us more, and it's help us. It's like even help us in. I was trying to explain in the business side, like in the business language, because when you start speaking in the business language, it's the people are more interested because it's like, okay, different clients are coming here, or you have to know the clients. You do business with different people. It's like even if you do a deal with somebody, it's like it's important to understand the people that are in front of you. Like I was telling them a story in Canada. I had a professor. He was an elder guy, but like one of the famous historians in Canada. He was in the team of Kissinger during the opening in China, and there was a really interesting story. Like when he was preparing the business teams that were going there, and it's like even like about understanding the people that we are sitting with, because it's like he was asking us, okay, you are going to the business meeting in China, how are you going to understand who is the decision maker? It's like everybody was standing like, okay, probably the guys with the most expensive suit, or the guy who is sitting in the center, or the guy who is whatever. Like it's like these are our social perceptions, but at the end it's like he said like no, it's wrong, and nobody was telling like a woman that can be a decision maker, or because we are thinking that this is like patriarchal society or whatever. And he said no, usually like decision maker is like he's the most invisible guy in the room, and it's like he's sitting somewhere that can see everybody, and he's just taking notes of all these things. It's like this is the important guy because he doesn't want to be visible, and he wants to take all the information about the others in the room. And for that, it's like, but we are used to that because in our culture, the person who is with the most power, he's in the center. He's like, he wants to show this power. And in different cultures, it doesn't work in this way. It's like not always the person with the most power wants to show his power.
Yeah, especially if the decision is made before discussions. All right, so I'm not expert for Buddhism. We have somebody here who is. So if you can you tell us a little bit more about your experience in Thailand with these priests?
I didn't, to be honest, I didn't have like experience with the priests. I was going to the temples, I was meeting some people, but I wasn't like, it wasn't that I was going to somebody just to learn something or to get some wisdom or whatever. For me, it was like just a flow. All my experience, all my traveling, it was like just flowing. And even about the title of the book that I found today, a really nice T-shirt. For that I wear the T-shirt. It's like Kill Bill. The title of the book is coming from the Kill Bill. It's like Quentin Tarantino was using this. If you meet Buddha in the first part of the Kill Bill, he was using this phrase about if you meet Buddha, kill him. And this means this is about critical thinking, because it's like one Vietnamese Buddhist specialist. He explaining what does it mean. So it's a quote from the Buddhist. Who is Buddhist expert here? Just to look the guy who is the expert. Who is the expert? Hello. And he was explaining that this it's like, because in Buddhism everything is in that dialogue. It's like it's speaking, like the teacher has to speak with the student, and it's both direction. And in one moment it's provocation. It's like it's a way to say, like you telling the student, if you go to the road and you meet Buddha, kill him. And it's like he said, like, what the fuck? It's like why I devote my life to Buddha, and you're telling me that I have to kill Buddha if I meet it. And he said, like, no, you have to have own opinion, not always that all the things that I'm gonna tell you is gonna be right. And it's the way that the life is working. Like, not always, even like if you do training, for example, with the hotel, what I did today, it's like not always the manager is gonna give the good decision, because some days we are pissed off, some days it's like we are not in the mood, some days we can say something that we doesn't think, or it's the things that are wrong. But anyways, you have to get the essence, you have to get the principles, and if you get the principle and if you get the essence, you have to have your own opinion, you have to have own compass that guides you, and not always to listen what some people are telling you to do. And it's for me it was something really nice, because we have to think a bit more. And even here in our region, our educational system is based on the levels. Like the teacher is going in the class, he's telling the students all the information, and they have to listen. And after that, the important things, they have to reproduce the information. It's just a reproduction, but it's not about the reproduction. It's about the way that you get your own. This is the way that you get your creativity, the way that you get the things that from inside. This is how you can touch yourself. My own opinion.
Yeah, that brings in mind the story about some Buddhist monks in Tibet. There was a guy who was just sitting for 7 years, not saying a word, and his teacher one day just came and kicked him in the head, and that's how he got enlightened. So there are different ways, really. I'm glad you find your own way. Okay, I guess that's about it. If you guys want to ask some...
maybe I can just, like, because you tell a story, maybe I want to tell a story about social business and Buddhism. I like it most a story about a Buddhist monk that was very lazy. You say that the biggest sin in the Buddhism is the laziness. He was very lazy guy, and the temple was from. There was a big river. The temple was from the one side of the river. From the other side of the river was a city, and every day he had to go to the city, do some talking and all that, and just to get the food and all the people that are giving. But he doesn't like to pay anything. He was cheating, like there was a boat that was driving the people from the monastery to the other side, or the travelers. And he was always hiding behind something or somewhere. The guys on the boat knew about him, like always, like if they catch him like swearing, one day they catch him and they beat him a lot. And he stayed in monastery like for a month or something. And after that, he decided to start building bridges, and he built like 100 bridges on the river, like that everybody can go freely on to the other side. It's like this is my favorite story.
All All right. A couple of years ago, I was in California with the Buddhist guys, and they say in LA is the Buddhist capital of the world, what they call the fourth way of Buddhism. And the gentleman who's sitting there he knows much more about it. And what we are trying to do here in Belgrade to actually like make more visible to a population here what happened in America, because America was in the 40s and 50s where America opened up to Buddhism. So 2 years ago I was with the Buddhists in California, and there was quite big crew, you know, like all kind of guys from Asia and Europe, and it was great. And funny is you mentioned Henry Kissinger, right? And we were talking about Henry Kissinger at that point, and we were talking about how he became the man of the year in 1974 when he finally signed the treaty with Vietnam, and he was on the front cover of all those big magazines in America as a man of the year, you know, with all like famous actresses and models and stuff. And then one Buddhist guy who was in Vietnam War, and a very old guy, you know, he was talking. We were talking, and then he said, like, it's all about sex. You know, that guy was like behaving like an infantile kid. You know, postponed the war just in order to be on the front page of the big magazine, so his ego will grow up, and everybody was just like hailing him and stuff. And I was like, ooh, wow, that's, you know, that's interesting analysis. Then I remember I told him, and I will tell you, when I was in Mongolia, they told me legend about the Gobi Lama, you know, who actually was introducing Buddhism to bandits through the theater. He was actually organizing in the desert the theater, and through like all kind of plays, he will actually turn the very illiterate population and, you know, like bandits basically into the Buddhism. And one day, like bandits came and they started like vandalizing his stage and everything, saying, getting drunk and, you know, trying to rape some woman. And this Lama from Gobi came on the stage and said, stop, and he pulled out his peanut, and then he started masturbating, and all the bandits were looking like, whoa, what this idiot is doing. So when he was just to ejaculate, you know, he pulled back the whole thing, you know, and the bandits were staring like, well, what is it? This is magic. And he said, if you can do this, you know, then you can burn everything. But if you cannot, you will listen to me. So the bandits tried, and, you know, they obviously couldn't stop the splash. They couldn't pull the splash back. And I was talking about that in the middle of very interesting business people, and they were looking at me, you're crazy. And the Buddhists from Vietnam said, that's true. You know, like, that's it. That's where the gimmick is, to, you know, like, stop and control it. So we made that parallel with, you know, like a military action with Vietnam, and, you know, all these guys doing it on the front pages. So all right. So if you have any questions, here we go.
So I don't know much about Buddhism, but you mentioned that you were going to talk about pleasure and joy. And like from my superficial knowledge, what I get is that in Buddhism we're not really supposed to be seeking any kind of specific experience. You should let experiences or happen, or just be there when they're happening, more than seek out specific things, because this is attachment. So how do you connect those two, Buddhism with pleasure and joy?
I don't think about it. Simply don't think about it. Yeah, it's maybe if I want something, I do it.
So is it like an instinctive movement? Like you want to do something and then you do it. You don't necessarily have this thinking process about it, so it's
No,
not really
I
attachment.
have the thinking process.
I'm sorry.
I have the thinking process, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's like maybe my enlightenment is not so high, but it's in general, like I try to give myself pleasure and joy. Maybe not so much as I can get, but yeah, I have to work on that.
Alright.
This is my answer. Yes?
How you make balance between two sides? Because you said if we have something like social ego or false ego, then let's suppose that there is something like true ego, whatever it is. So on this first level, if we say I don't give a damn what others think about me or how I look, etc. But in Buddhism, although it is not a religious system, but also we have this idea that let's do something good for others. So it is detachment is not a passive principle. It is very active in that sense that we should, in that sense, in that context, we should be attached to do something good for others, not in the context of charity, because it is capitalistic concept, but in that spiritual sense, to help others to come to the point of spiritual, maybe enlightenment is a strong word, but some kind of
Awakening.
yes, self realization or something like this. So it seems to me that there are two sides, detachment and attachment, and how to make balance between this.
I'm gonna use his tale in this story because like I don't refuse the capitalist thinking because maybe I'm capitalist, but I can use the play and the theater and the scene because when you discover that maybe not all my true ego or whatever, but you start out acting. And about the acting is really nice because like even like for example like let's go again for the hotel and the guys in the hotel, because if you're serving people you're acting, like at the end it's like it's your job and you're taking a specific role and you act this role. It's not like about the things that you feel, because like we have a problem like in our society, probably you have the same, like in Bulgaria we have this problem. I think it's typical here. People are expressing their feelings, like I don't like this client and I show that I don't like it, or with somebody like I'm expressing my feelings. At the end it's like it's just business. It's like when you do, it's like it's not about you in this moment. You understand, you have to have the understanding. Maybe this is the point about the balance. You have the understanding about yourself, but you keep it for yourself. It's like it's why I have to show you my feelings at this moment. In this moment, it's coming the acting.
Yes, but why not?
Why I should?
Yeah, but why not?
Because at the end I'm doing my business. In my business, it's like when I go in the shop, I want people there to smile to me. When I go to buy something, I want them to behave like professionally. This is the professional and the personal life, and this is maybe the point in the balance as well. It's like you have to separate the personal life and you have to separate the professional life. And when you go to the role in the professional life, you start acting like a professional, and it's like you don't bring your experiences in the professional life. Okay, today I have a bad day. Today I didn't sleep well. Today I had a problem at my home. Today I whatever. It's like I'm in love, and for that I have to forget about everything. No, it's like this is your job, and you do it professionally, and you have to separate both of them. And maybe this is the right answer. It's like you start acting, you're playing on this scene.
Yeah, I guess that if we try to be practical in this world, that we must make Buddhism compatible with capitalistic system. But my understanding it is that it is more subversive to it than compatible. But anyway, this is my understanding. It is subjective.
No, because in the book I have a chapter about, there was a chapter about the money. I think I put a chapter about the money. And
Yes, you
I
did.
was, yeah. I in the taxi I was telling her, okay, please tell me all my chapters just to know what I want. And it's like, there is about the money. And even about there is this something, and the Buddha is saying that there are three types of people. Like one is blind, and the blind person doesn't know how to make money and doesn't know what are the value about the things, like about the real value of the things. There is one eye person who can make money but still doesn't know the value of the things. And there is a person who can see, who can make money and in the same time to make them valuable. And it's like the valuable means that what you are doing with the money is because this is the important thing. It's like a painting. It's like, yes, you can have many colors, but at the end you don't. It's depending on you what you're gonna paint with that, what you're gonna do with all these things. And this is coming about your personal, your creativity. It's like the money, it's a big opportunity. It's like it's up to you. It's like you can buy a car for 2,200 or whatever, or million, or house in the, or you can in the same time you can build a school, or you can build a hospital, you can build a library, or whatever. It's up to you. You take the decision, and you have to know what this decision is gonna bring. And it's I think this understanding and this it's important.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hannes.
Do you find any relation between Bogomilism and Buddhism? Specific question. You're from Bulgaria, and do you find any?
In my own, for me it's interesting about Bogomilism.
Yeah.
To be honest, no, because like in Bogomilism you have dualism.
Yeah.
And you have a strict dualism in the Buddhism. You have bad and you have good.
Yeah, many hate.
And all the things are with labels.
Yeah.
In my opinion, in the Buddhism, you don't put the labels, you remove the labels from the things. And it's like when you put the labels, this is good, this is bad. My own, I don't like it. Like I don't like when the things are white and when the things are black.
Yeah, that's conscious.
Because it's like it's very tricky. Like I can put a label at you and say like he's bad, and that's it.
Yeah.
In this moment, it's like you're bad for everybody here, and I don't like labeling. I don't like it's. Maybe this is Taoist, by the way. It's like in the Taoist, you have to remove all the labels and all the things. It's like this is the core concept in the Taoism. But the Taoism, as much as I know, it's very related to the Buddhism, and even in the Taoism they said like when the Lord Tao came, it's like they mix it with Buddha, and for that it's correct me if I'm wrong. It's like this is my academic learnings from very long time ago, but there's some connection between the Taoism and Buddhism. Is it?
Yes, it's true. One school of Buddhism is actually a mixture of Indian Buddhism and Chinese Taoism, and that's Zen Buddhism, or Chan Buddhism originally. This is a mixture of the two. So there is some connection, and in regard to, yes, I think both the Taoists and Buddhists would say that labeling anything changes your perception of that thing, and they would agree on that. So yes, it's a reduction of labeling, conceptual labeling in both Buddhism and in Taoism. So there are deep similarities, let's say, especially in Chinese form of Buddhism. Chinese Buddhism is somewhat different from Indian Buddhism, and then again, Japanese is different and so on. But Taoism helped transform Indian Buddhism into something else.
Thank you.
Yeah, but if we take off the labeling, then that confirms your theory that Buddhism is very anti-capitalistic. Yeah, because capitalism is all about labeling. You know, my perception, capitalism is like that. So.
Well, not only that, I mean, it's also has to do with, like, one of the, in Buddhism you don't really have sin, you have ignorance.
Yes.
The only sin is not knowing, ignorance.
Yes.
But attachment to greed would be something like a Buddhist sin.
Yes.
Or basically, if you're into greed, means you're ignorant of certain principles, certain Buddhist principles. So I can't really imagine a capitalism which would be free of greed.
Yeah. Or life.
Well, you can imagine life. You could deduce certain principles like voluntary humility and voluntary frugality, Stedliost, from Buddhism, and that's really contrary to it's capitalism is very much in harmony with ego, with the structure of the ego. The ego always wants more,
Sure.
and is driven by greed. So capitalism is a kind of culture of ego, or a culture of egoism, if you will. And well, Buddhism does say there is another way to live.
Yes.
But my own opinion is like what I read, the Buddhism doesn't refuse the money, and it's like the problem. It's coming how you use the money. It's not the problem the money. It's not the problem how you generate all the
Yes,
wealth,
they have
what you're doing with it.
in applied, let's say, modern Buddhist teachers would say it's not a problem if you have money in the bank or in the pocket, but if you have money in your mind, that is a problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then the logical question is how that money came to the bank. You know.
Well, yeah, it had to be at one point had to be in the mind, but basically what they're saying is there is an attitude of where you can divest yourself of attachment even to money. And it's basically in Buddhism, this is applied to sex, to money,
Right.
to
Power.
Yeah, power, you could say.
Okay, no, Karen, we are speaking about the attachment to the money, and I already use it like the gambling. Can you be a gambler and to be attached to the money? If you are a real gambler, and in the same time to have the attachment, because the attachment to the money makes you fear that you're gonna lose, and if you fear that you're gonna lose, you are not a good gambler. If you're a good gambler, that means you don't have to fear that you can lose. You have to have a cold mind. And this is like, let's give you another explanation about the capitalism. And if you, because it's like, if you gambling, because the making money, it's a gambling, it's a game. But then, if you fear, what is happening? And this is coming the Buddhism in this moment. Because from what you're fearing from your greed. That means you're greedy. If you're greedy, you cannot play. Because you're always gonna think about the money. You're not thinking about winning the game. For you, is the important the money, it's not the game.
Well, judging by the number of the gambling houses in Belgrade, you know, we're all
I don't
Buddhists
think about that.
here. So I don't know. Gambling is. I have a problem with the gambling, official
No.
or non-official.
No, this the electronic is not a gambling. It's like playing with the machine. It's not a gambling. It's
All right. Any more questions?
Yeah, it's kind of related to gambling. It's called meat eating. There's a lot of gambling joints. There's a lot of meat eating goes on in Belgrade. But this is a question that's very important to me: is how do you stand in terms of animals and the cruelty to animals? And are you a vegetarian? It's
yes, I'm
yeah.
vegetarian. I'm vegetarian, and we are vegetarians. I cannot, for example, imagine to live with a person that is in the flesh. And yes, it's for me it's very important, the connection with the nature and the connection to the other. Like it was like few weeks ago we went to an observatory in Bulgaria. We spoke with one of the, I think the most famous Bulgarian astronomer.
Yes.
Yes. And at then we had like 4 hours conversation. And then we were speaking about the DNA and all these things, and it's like, what's the difference between us and the cherry? Whatever, like it's like with most animals, we are also almost similar in DNA and all
Only
that.
1%.
Like, yeah, and for that it's like, yeah, for me it's important, very important. It's your expression about the life. It's about the other living things.
Ahimsa it is, yeah?
Sorry?
Ahimsa it is called in Buddhism or in Hinduism.
Yeah, it's both Hindu and Buddhist.
Yes.
It's non-harming.
Yes.
Ahimsa means non-harming.
Yeah, this is your personal choice that you can make.
Warm. Warm is
Warm.
the German.
So, for what I've understood in Buddhism, so sort of the point is that you can have things and not have them, but you shouldn't get attached to it. Life sort of happens, and we need to experience the pure reality of what it is. I feel like if someone gets attached to their money and they lose it, they're gonna become like really upset and angry. And I feel a lot of like neuroticism comes from not being able to accept reality as it is. And I feel that Buddhism is sort of trying to tell us that we need to accept it first, and then we can actually work something.
Yeah, I think
with
in this way the Taoism work really nice. Like they give like really simple explanation. Like it's like white is black and yellow is not yellow, and the way is not the way, and if you think the way is the way, and all these things. It's like it's shaping your perceptions and shaping. Yes, removing all the labels and all things. And yeah, it's helping about the labeling and about the attachments.
What you said about, for example, going into a business meeting and not necessarily showing your emotions, I mean, what I understand from it, and it reminded me of this like Taoistic rule that we shouldn't, I mean, I don't really live by this rule, but we shouldn't discuss likes and dislikes. And I feel that maybe in that situation, like what would be the value of you communicating your emotions if you're conducting business in that specific situation,
Okay,
especially if it could be...
If we have to speak like a business person, and if we have to be honest, like, okay, we are doing business. Are the emotion our, they help us or not? Are they our allies or they're our foe?
I think it depends.
Why? It's like if you are honest with yourself and you're doing business, emotions gonna help you in a business way or not? Do you have to detach the emotions from the moment that you're doing business or you're doing something that is important?
So I think I like the things that I do are definitely on some level based on my emotions, but I feel that sometimes communicating them can be counterproductive, and I also feel that it's sort of like seeking validation or trying to convince the other person that my emotions they're right. It's okay for me to have them, or whatever that stems from them, that it's okay. But if I know inside myself that, okay, this is what I feel, or this is who I am, and it's valid just because, I mean, it's enough for me to know
Can
that,
you make it
I don't have to...
a bit more difficult. Okay, if the other person is playing with you, and is playing with your emotions, what's happening with you? Because there are people who are smart.
Well,
and
people
smart
get
emotionally.
reactive. People get reactive when someone plays with them.
They're smart emotionally people, and most successful people who are doing business are smart people, and they know how to play with your emotion. What's happening then? And you have the emotion, and you think that that your emotion are straight, as trained. What's happening with you in a moment that you are dealing with a person that is
Making
emotionally
things
intelligent?
difficult, maybe.
Yes, because he's gonna start playing with you, and he's gonna start playing with your emotions. That means you're the losing side. And you don't know what is the opposite side. Like in many cases, you don't know with who you are dealing. Why you should bet on the emotions? Like, you don't know. You're not sure. Maybe he's smart. He's smarter than you emotionally. Why do you need them? it's better to just not touch and just better just put the mask and play.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Some other questions? I will enjoy a question from the Buddhist expert.
No, I don't really have. I don't have a question. I mean, I would have to look at the book a little more and so on. I'm not really a
No, it's a
Buddhist.
professional book. Definitely, it's like it's just a pleasant experience for me. And it's like with this book, I'm just collecting moments, like now, and from now on, it's like it's helping me meeting people, talking people, like doing different things, getting a new role in the theater.
I tried to explain to him that the Buddhist consciousness in Serbia is in the embryo stage right now. He asked me where is the closest temple, and I told him it's in Fruška Gora, right?
Yeah.
We are the Buddhist. I don't consider myself Buddhist, but I have sympathies, obviously. And the Buddhist community right now is finally recognized by officials in Serbia. In the last year or two, something like that.
2 years, yeah.
2 years. Before that was big no. You know, it's like a sect or whatever, how they describe that.
Well,
So-
it's still considered a sect. But
yeah, it's still, by leading church, but now it's at least it's open. The valve is a little bit open, and as you said before, Belgrade is a place which is a crossroad, and if local population doesn't want to flirt with that, you have foreigners who are coming through. So at least we can give them space for. So.
Yeah, but it's like it's going up. I have a friend of mine. He's from Switzerland or something like this, and he's like something like Protestant or something like this. And he said like before we were a sect, now we are evangelical, and that means we are up in the social status. For that, it's like it's good.
All right. Interesting for me to see that. I mean, this Buddhist saying, if you meet the Buddha, I mean, in the original form, I think it's if you meet the Buddha on the way or on the road,
Yes.
kill him, is used in different contexts. From what I've managed to understand here,
I gave an explanation. What does it mean? But it's like
no,
after,
but
like,
some
50 pages.
40 or 50 years ago, a guy, Sheldon Kopp, used it in the context of psychotherapy. And he also has a book by the same. Do you know there is a book by the same title published in 1972? When Srdjan first invited me to come tonight, I remember,
I searched in Amazon. I searched on Amazon about the title, and I found similar title, but it wasn't the same title.
If you meet
and
the
it
Buddha
was-
on the road, kill him.
It was
Sheldon
about-
Kopp, 1972, published first. American psychotherapist.
Yes,
and-
about the psychotherapy. I
Yes,
found
yes,
something,
yes.
but it was a bit different title.
It just doesn't have. If you meet Buddha, kill him. And his is if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. So his
And there is the psychotherapy and all.
subtitle is something a pilgrimage, just like you have a pilgrimage to freedom. His subtitle is, I think, a pilgrimage of psychotherapy patients.
It is not, it doesn't use the pilgrimage. He was using something different. Yes, I was looking when I choose the name because I choose the name.
No, it
from
doesn't
this.
matter. But what I'm trying to say is how this was a koan originally, a kungan in Chinese Zen Buddhism, Chan Buddhism, and it really the meaning is do not be. You have to get rid of all attachments, including your attachment to the Buddha and to enlightenment. If you this is the meaning. If you
Yes, this is
if you are
exactly-
attached to enlightenment, you're not enlightened. So you have to get rid of this attachment as well. And how you use it in a business context, more or less, as far as I can see, this is
A bit.
basically and he uses the same thing. If you're attached to your true self, you haven't found your true self.
But in the middle of the book, like the transition between the first and the second part I use the psychotherapy. I use it a bit, but in different way that this guy. I hope it's completely different. I hadn't read his book, but my book is about Quentin Tarantino.
Oh wow! Your book is?
About Quentin Tarantino.
That book is about
I
Quentin
took
Tarantino.
it from Kill Bill.
If I knew that, I wouldn't invite you. Because he's not my favorite director.
You don't
really.
like him?
Well, not really. You know, not really.
If you knew, you wouldn't come. So.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's
it's
alright.
not up to us.
As he said, we need to be very open-minded. You know.
And if he read your book, he would know that.
Yeah, well, that's right. Actually, I didn't like his last movie. You know, he didn't kill Charlie Manson in the film.
Ah, for that you didn't like him.
Yeah, and I didn't like him from before. I don't think he's a great director. You know, like, well, who am I to, you know, like he's such a saint. But from the very first film, I didn't think he's a great director. I think he's a manipulator. You know, but it's alright. You know, very successful guy, making movies, ripped off of many other directors. I can name at least 3. You know, like even gimmicks in the films. He actually
But
ripped
I
off
like-
from Japanese.
I like his first screenplay, The True Romance.
Yeah.
The True
yeah.
Romance.
Yeah,
because
he's
the
a
True
better
Romance-
writer than
In
director.
The True
yeah.
Romance, he killed the guy at the end, Christian Slater.
Yeah, True Romance,
But,
he wrote the
yes,
script,
that-
yeah.
yeah.
That's pretty good.
But
That
the
film I like,
director,
yeah.
But the director fucked up the end.
Yeah, well, you know. But the last film I didn't like, he didn't kill Charlie Manson. He killed Adolf Hitler, he killed everybody, Stalin, you know. But he didn't kill Charlie Manson. You know. How come?
You were
We
too
were
attached
scared.
to this idea.
Yeah,
So
Charlie was still alive, probably. He could curse him from the jail, you know. Anyway, that's a typical Hollywood product, that guy, you know. So we will wrap it up. Thank you very much. He can sign the book. Anybody, you know, just help yourself. Take a book if you want the book signed. Gentlemen will do that gladly. And I can
Thank
give you
you.
drinks.
Yeah.
It was really nice.